All right, what is up, guys? VV back with another video, and we're still on the OP-05 stuff, awakening of the new era. But this time we're on the black cards, and a lot of you know me by now who are watching this channel. You know black is the color that I roll with in this game, so I'm very anxious to get started on this. So let's just hop right into it. I cannot wait to get started on this. Okay, so first up we have Viola. This is a 2-cost, 3,000 power, 1,000 counter, black Dressrosa character. Okay, so it's Dressrosa. That's interesting right away for me. Effect on play. Your opponent places 3 cards from their trash at the bottom of their deck in any order. Okay, so this has tech against 2 decks in particular. CP9, or at least cards that have CP, or decks that have CP9 packages in them, like Navy decks and things like that. Dressrosa too, actually. So it's got Dressrosa, CP9, and Nami, right? You're making them go through more cards. So, excuse me, this is pretty nice, actually, right? This is a good tech card. If Nami or Dressrosa or CP stuff ever takes over, we're going to have ways to manipulate the trash, and this is just a good tech card. As is, though, just in general, this card is not great. It's not bad, by the way, but it's not great. So I'll just give this a 6 out of 10. I'll just rate this card a 6 out of 10. Okay, next card. Next up, we have Elisabello II, or Elisabello II, which is a 4-cost, 5,000 power, 1,000 counter, Kingdom of Prudence. Is that supposed to be Providence? Is it Kingdom of Prudence? I'm not sure how to say that. Prudence / Dressrosa. Okay, so another Dressrosa character. Effect, when attacking, once per turn, you may return 20 cards from your trash to your deck and shuffle it. So you just return 20 cards and shuffle your whole deck. This character gains double attack and plus 10,000 power during this battle. I think that's a little crazy, the 20 cards. Yeah, this card's a little too flavorful for me. I'm just going to say it like that. I'm not a huge fan of this card. It's a 4-cost 5K. I mean, let's just be honest. In 4 costs already, you're dealing with Orlumbus and Dressrosa. You're dealing with Borsalino. You're dealing with Kuzans. You're dealing with all kinds of different potential cards, depending on what colors you're splashing as well. But for this effect, that will be dead the entire game until you have 20 cards in your trash. Yeah, and he has no protection either to survive. I don't like this card. That's just me. The effect, if you can pull it off, is insane, right? Because then it's a 4-cost 15K that double attacks. Maybe there's going to be a combo deck with this. Well, no, because you're returning 20 cards from your trash to your deck. I don't know. I think if this was like return 10 cards, it would have been doable. And then maybe even reduce the power down to plus 5,000. Then I think it would have been fine. If it was, when attacking, once per turn, you may return 10 cards from your trash to your deck and shuffle it. Then this character gains double attack and plus 5,000 power during this battle. Then I think it would have had it would at least been in the conversation of being playable. It still probably wouldn't have been playable, even at that rate. But who knows? Tell me what you guys think about this. For me, I'm giving this just a straight up 5 out of 10. This is just an incredibly it's actually a little bit above or under average for what it is. Like a 4-cost 6K 1K is what I'd be expecting for a vanilla, but it's only 1K power under that with the potential to have this big attack. I'm just gonna go 5 out of 10. Not a big fan, because even in Dressrosa, you don't want to use this effect, right? You don't want to return 20 cards from your trash to your deck, because that's turning off your cards like Monkey King Kong Gun. It's turning off your cards like Truna Bastardo, your 7-cost Luffy. It's turning off cards like your what's the other one? The 1-cost event that blocks for 4K Barrier. Sorry guys, I couldn't remember, and a bunch of other stuff I'm sure that I'm forgetting. The one thing I will say about this card is maybe this is a good one of tech card where you run this card, and once you have like maybe you had to trash your Luffy's, right, for whatever reason, or they got KO'd or whatever. Then maybe you use this character to get your Luffy's back into your deck. So again, I'll give it a 5 out of 10 because it's not totally useless, but it is a very, it has a very interesting spot if you're going to run a deck. I mean, again, it's not worthless, but I'm not a big fan. Okay, 5 out of 10. Next card. One-Legged Toy Soldier. We got a 2-cost, 0-power, 2000 counter Dressrosa character. The effect is activate main. You may trash this card and give up to one of your opponent's characters -3 cost during this turn. Okay, so this is basically the Suru for Dressrosa. It does cost 1 more, and it does trash it after it's in use, but we want that, right? We don't want the card to sit around, but then again, maybe we do to interact with Orlumbus. I don't know. But overall, I think this card is just fine for what it is. 9 times out of 10, if not more, maybe 99 times out of 100, it's going to be a 2K counter. Otherwise, it's just a nice activate main, trash this character to give up one of your opponent's characters -3 cost during this turn. So I do think it has a place. It's interesting. It's just fine at what it does. I give this a 7.5 out of 10. Okay, next. We have Shirahoshi. 1 cost, 0 power, 2000 counter, Merfolk. Activate main. You may rest this character and place 2 cards from your trash at the bottom of your deck in any order. If your opponent has 6 or more cards in their hand, your opponent trashes 1 card from their hand. Wow. You may rest this character and place 2 cards from your trash at the bottom of your deck in any order. So notice that Shirahoshi stays on the board. Like, they're going to have to deal with this card next, right? Or you could do this again next turn, potentially. And this kind of goes in the same direction as what I was just saying with what was the card called? Not this one. The Elizabello card. Where all of a sudden, like, maybe you only had like 3 Luffy's in your deck and you had to trash them, or they got KO'd, or whatever happened throughout the course of the game, where you play this card, and if they don't deal with it, you just get them all back to your deck. Well, Shirahoshi is a more focused answer to that, but the one big downside is she's a Merfolk. Yes, the 2K counter is very nice, but she is a Merfolk, so it's not searchable for like the Dressrosa deck that you'd want to get your Luffy back with. But that's okay. It's still an interesting 2K counter. It's a 1 cost. You can get this down and activate it right away to return 2 cards from your trash to the bottom of your deck. And then again, if your opponent has 6 or more cards in their hand, they're going to be trashing a card. I think this is a nice 7.5 out of 10. It's a 2K counter. I'm always going to give a 2K counter at least 7 out of 10. Very nice. Okay, next up we have a 2 cost, 4,000 power, 1,000 counter vanilla character from the Goa Kingdom. Okay, that's interesting. This is just a 5 out of 10 vanilla card. Next up we have St. Carlos, or Charlos, however you say that. This is a 3 cost, 0 power, 1,000 counter Celestial Dragons type card. Very cool. He has your turn effect. If the only characters on your field are Celestial Dragon type characters, give all of your opponent's characters -4 cost. Wow. Okay. What are we going to combo this with? I think the effect is good. Like, on your turn, everything is -4 their cost as long as all your characters are Celestial Dragon. Notice your leader doesn't have to be, so that's probably, maybe you run this as like maybe this works out in a Sakazuki deck or a Z deck. I'm not sure. We'll have to keep our eyes peeled for whatever this can go with, because that is a very powerful effect. -4 the cost of all your characters. This seems very good. Like, right away in my mind, this ends up working out in like a... there's a blue card that's coming out called... it's an 8 cost event. I can't remember, or... Gosh... Let's just grab it real quick, guys. Y'all bear with me. And you'd be able to run it because you are running... You'd probably be running this leader with what we're talking about. But just bear with me for just a second, guys. I got to look it up. It is an event that I was absolutely critical of. But with that Celestial Dragon card, maybe this is decent. Because now, like say you make a Celestial Dragon deck, obviously that's what we're talking about. If you have that card down we were just looking at, that -4 is the cost of all your opponent's characters on your turn. Well, now you're paying 8 to KO all 7 cost or less on your opponent's side, and only 3 cost or less on your side. But that's not the best interaction, right? Because that actually takes out the card we're talking about. It would literally take out this card. Oh well. It still would be worth it, right? If it takes out your entire opponent's side of the board. But you guys get my point. It has some potential. I'm not sleeping on it. It definitely has some potential. But as is, I'm going to give this card a 6.5 out of 10 because I need to see what else it goes with. I need to see how we're going to be able to combo this. Because would this even work with, like, let's just say Kobe, the 3-cost Kobe. The 3-cost 4,000 power, 1k counter Kobe, trash a card, KO 3 or less. I don't think it would even work with this. Like, say they have a 7-cost on the board, right, where your Kobe would be able to hit it, theoretically, with this. Well, on your turn, if the only characters on your field are Celestial Dragon type characters, all your opponent's characters get -4 to their cost. So as soon as you play the Kobe in order to trigger the on-play effect, this effect would turn off immediately, right? So that's where I don't think it would work. If anyone knows, comment in the comment section below. And as usual, y'all know, feel free to comment in the comment section below. I definitely want to know what you guys have to I definitely want to know what you guys think about these cards. So, okay. So anyway, just to grade this card, or rate this card, I give this like I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. I'm going to go with 6 out of 10. Okay, next up we have Nefeltari Cobra, 2 cost, 1,000 power, 1,000 counter, blocker, Alabasta type. On play, trash 1 card from the top of your deck. Okay, I wish that was Dressrosa type. Excuse me, but like this makes sense in Dressrosa, right, where you're trying to feed cards to your trash. Otherwise, it is at least a 2-cost, 1,000 power blocker with a counter. I'll give that a 6 out of 10. But the actual on-play effect is not really crazy. I mean, maybe you still run it in a Rebecca deck. I'm not sure. Or, you know, you don't have to, but I don't know. I'll give it a 6.5 out of 10. 6.5 out of 10. All right, Nefeltari VV. We have a 1-cost, 1,000 power, 1,000 counter, situational blocker. Is that what I see here? If you have 10 or more cards in your trash, this character gains blocker. It's Alabasta. Not a huge fan of this card. I'm going to go with a 3.5 out of 10. I think that's what I gave the Onami card that was like this. I'm just going to go with 3.5 out of 10. Okay, y'all tell me if I'm missing something. Maybe this card just... I don't know. I'm not a huge fan. All right, next. Next up, we have Hakuba. This is a 5-cost, 6,000 power, 1,000 counter, black Dressrosa Beautiful Pirates character with the effect of Dawn ×1 when attacking, so you'll be swinging for 7k. You may KO one of your characters. You may KO one of your characters other than this character. Give up to one of your opponent's characters -5 cost during this turn. No. I'm sorry. This for me just seems awful. This seems horrible to me. Why not just run Orlumbus at this rate, where it's just, you know, you don't have to attack at all. You can just, like, you know, activate main. Let's just try to think of the perks. You know, you're going to be able to run this with Corda Coliseum because it's Dressrosa. So theoretically, if you have 6 Dawn available, you're going to be able to tap 5 to play this card, attach 1 Dawn, swing in, KO some, you know, maybe KO your Kairos and have it survive through the Corda Coliseum, and then -5 to the cost of something. And then, okay, let's say you had 7 Dawn instead of just 6, then you could play a Leo and KO a 6 or less. That's the best interaction I can give it, but that required about 5 cards to set up, right? You needed this card, the Kairos, the Corda Coliseum, and then the Leo in hand, right? It seems a little impractical. That's all I'm going to say. It is at least a 5-cost, 6,000 power, 1k counter body. That's probably the best aspect of it, or the best feature, and it's searchable for Dressrosa. And then it has the effect you can, you know, that's like kind of icing on the cake. So I'm going to give it a 5.5 out of 10. I think it's a little better than average, but I don't know. This idea of KOing your characters to reduce the cost of your opponent's characters, Man, I'm probably never going to be a fan of that, so y'all got to bear with me. But yeah, tell me what you guys think about this card. If you disagree, or if you think I'm onto something, you know, tell me what you think. Okay, next up we have Mancherry. This is a 1 cost, 0 power, 1000 counter, black Dressrosa character. It's also the Tantas character. The Tantatas. I don't know. However you say that. And it has the effect of activate on your main, pay 1. You may rest this character and place 2 cards from your trash at the bottom of your deck in any order. Excuse me. Add up to 1 black character card with a cost of 3 to 5 from your trash to your hand. That is pretty good, actually, if you think about it. Like, I mean, I wouldn't run like 5, or excuse me, 5 of these. Yeah, you're not going to run 5 of these in your deck. I mean, I don't know if I'd run 4 of these in my deck, but I'd probably run 2 of these, right, as like a tech card where, okay, if they take out my Borsalino, or if they take out my Fukuro, or if they take out, you know, my Kairos, or my Sabo, there's a lot of actually very strong characters you can grab that are in the cost range of 3 to 5 for black. Because you could also grab 3 cost, 3000 power, 2k counter Bartolomeo, right? That's another card you could snag. So that's actually pretty good. I think this card's very good, especially as like a you know, maybe run 2 of these, or even just as a 1 of, I think it's good. But yeah, I think this card has potential. I'm gonna give this card a 7.5 out of 10. I'm gonna give this card a 7.5 out of 10. Very nice. Okay, next up, Saint Mjosgard. I don't know how to say it. This is a 5 cost, 1000 power, 1000 counter, black Celestial Dragon type. Okay, so we have another Celestial Dragon here. He has an effect of activate main, pay 1. You may rest this character in one of your characters. Add up to 1 black character card with a cost of 1 from your trash to your hand. I'm going with like a 1 out of 10 on first impression. Someone tell me what I'm missing with this card. What is this card supposed to do? Maybe we're going to see a card coming up that's going to be really strong. Okay, let me read this one more time. Maybe I'm missing something. Activate main, pay 1. You may rest this character and one of your other characters. Add up to 1 black character card with a cost of 1 from your trash to your hand. I'm missing something, guys. You're adding a card to from your trash to your hand. You're getting recursion, but how does that justify this guy being 6,000 power under what he should be at the cost, or at a vanilla body? I don't get it. That's rough. And you're having to pay 1 and rest him and another character to do this? Let's see. Like I said, we'll see what else is coming out from this set. Maybe it'll make me change my mind. But currently, as is, this is probably my lowest rated card ever at a 1 out of 10. Just awful. Just horrible. Okay, next card. Okay, this guy looks pretty intimidating. We got Rico Doldo III. 4 cost, 5,000 power, 1,000 counter, black Dressrosa type character. Okay, this is a blocker. Here we go. So this is a 4 cost, 5,000 power, 1,000 counter blocker. And then on play / on KO, up to one of your Dressrosa type characters gains plus 2,000 power during this turn. It says up to one of your Dressrosa type characters. So you can target yourself, right? Because it doesn't say other than this character, right? It doesn't say up to one of your other Dressrosa type characters gains plus 2,000 power during this turn. So you could target yourself, correct? And then, like, well, it's on play, excuse me. I thought it was on block for some reason in my mind. Sorry about that, guys. So on play, you're going to give someone plus 2,000. And then on KO, you're going to give another character plus 2,000. Okay, so never mind about what I was saying. Okay, this is still very good. I think this is fine. And it's going to allow you to keep playing on curve and swing with whatever you played the turn before, like theoretically. Right, especially if you played a Rebecca the turn before. Or actually, maybe not Rebecca. Let me see something real quick. I gotta pull this over here and look real quick. I think Rebecca is a 1 cost 2k, like most searchers. Let me check though. Yeah, Rebecca is a 1 cost 2k. so that won't work out like I was saying. But at the same time, I still think this card is pretty decent. It doesn't have to be Rebecca, right? It could be something else for a 2 cost. Okay. Overall, though, I think I'll rate this card about a 6 out of 10. I think it's a little better than average. I would almost rather just run Borsellino in the place of this, even though it's not Dressrosa searchable. That's just me. Who knows? Maybe there's being a full-on Dressrosa list where this is a little better. And you're also having to battle with the spot of Orlumbus at 4 cost, 5,000 power, 1,000 counter. There's a lot to consider there. But one thing I will say is this. I do think that there was a deck that no one explored for Dressrosa that would be really good with this effect right here, where maybe there's an aggro version of blue-black Dressrosa that no one really discovered. Maybe not. It might not exist. Like, a lot of people played the control and like the mid-rangey to control variant, whereas maybe there's an undiscovered aggro version where this card just fits in and would be a stud and, you know, just be so strong. Anyway, you guys know what y'all think about that. Okay, next up. Like I said, I give this like a 5.5 or a 6 out of 10, somewhere around there. All right, okay, next up we have Rebecca. This is a 4 cost, 0 power, 1k counter Rebecca, color black, Dressrosa type. It is a blocker, so that's nice. At least we're getting something since there's 0 power. On play, let's see what the on play is. Add up to 1 black character card with a cost of 3 to 7, other than Rebecca, from your trash to your hand. Excuse me. Then play up to 1 black character card with a cost of 3 or less from your hand rested. So that you can play as a Rebecca card, right? If you have a Rebecca card in hand. Now, not this Rebecca because it's 4 cost, but the 1 cost Rebecca, the 1 cost searcher. Theoretically, right? Because it just says add up to 1 black character card with a cost of 3 to 7 other than Rebecca from your trash to your hand. Then play up to 1 black character card with a cost 3 or less from your hand rested. Okay, yeah, that seems pretty good. You'll be able to play a Kairos from this. You'll be able to play, a Fukuro. You'll be able to play the 3 cost, 3,000 power Bartolomeo 2k counter. You'll be able to play Rebecca the Searcher, I believe. Like I said, someone correct me if I'm wrong there. You'll be able to run the 2 cost, 2k counter Dressrosa blocker. Or excuse me, the 2 cost, 2,000 power 1k counter blocker, and probably a few others I haven't thought about. But that seems pretty decent, actually. And you're adding up to 1 black character card with a cost 3 to 7, other than Rebecca from your trash to your hand. So you're going to be able to snag Fukuros from the trash. You're going to be able to snag Luffy, the 7 cost Luffy, Sabo, Borsellino, all kinds of good stuff. So I think this is another really solid tech card like Mancherry. I'll give this a 7.5 out of 10 like I gave her. Because I think this card is really good as well, and probably a little bit. It costs more, but the effect is a little better because you're also getting some momentum. You're playing a 4 cost blocker, and you're playing like you could even run like a Kobe in a deck like that, right? You could be running Kobe in there and get him into play, KOing one of their 3 or less. So excellent, very very strong card. 7.5 out of 10. All right, next up, Saint Rosward. Excuse me. So this is a 5 cost, 0 power, black Celestial Dragons character. What is with these Celestial Dragons? I'm sure I'm going to find something in here that's going to buff these cards, right? Or they all just trash like this. Like 0 power. What the heck? Effect on your turn. If the only characters on your field are Celestial Dragon type characters, give all your opponent's characters -6 cost. Okay, so with the other guy, everyone's a 0 cost. If you have Saint Charlos down, excuse me, and you have a Saint Rosward down, all of your opponent's characters are going to be -10 to their cost. Now, what are you going to do with that? Right? Like, that's my question. Is this meant to be excuse me, is this meant to be run in like a blue-black navy deck where it's just straight control? You just run 4 of these, 4 of the other guy we just talked about, and then you reduce their cost and then just KO them with events or something? Like, I don't know. Y'all tell me if you got any ideas, because this isn't adding up for me. Because maybe at that point you just start swinging you just swing for, like, you know, I'm trying to think. You just put as much on your leaders you can every turn and swing with it after KOing what they have on their side of the board. I don't know. Whoops. Okay, so let's keep going. Very interesting. Let me just say right away that -6 to everyone's cost is huge. That's massive, guys. So I mean, in general, I'll give this card like a 6 out of 10 because it has a lot of potential, but how are we going to pull it off? Maybe you run it in a mono black Sakazuki deck. I don't know. Or like I said before, Zephyr maybe? Z? We'll have to see. All right, I'm just going to give it a 5 out of, somewhere between a 5 and a 6 out of 10. Okay, next up we have Rob Lucci. 4 cost, 6,000 power. Big fan of those stats. No counter, but let's see what justifies that. He's a black CP0 character. You may place 3 on play. The effect is on play. You may place 3 cards from your trash at the bottom of your deck in any order. KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 2 or less, and up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 1 or less. So I like this card. I've talked about it in a previous video. I like the direction of this card. I like that you're getting a 2-for-1 potentially, but it's pretty situational, right? That's my main big issue with this card. You may place 3 cards from your trash at the bottom of your deck in any order. Number one, that. So realistically, you're not even playing this on turn 2. Unless the stars align or you countered out a bunch where you just filled up your trash. Okay. But then, even if you did somehow fill up your trash, well, you're only KOing a 2 or less and a 1 or less. So yeah, you'll get their 1K Searcher, but what about the 3-cost card they just played? Or what if you couldn't play this on turn 2 and now they just played a 5-cost last turn and now on turn 6 you're stuck with this card with no relevant targets? I think, like I said, I'm a big, big fan of this card. But I still feel like One Piece or whoever makes this game, Bandai or whoever the company is that actually makes the card game itself, I feel like they're just so scared to print good removal. This is on the verge of being good removal. This is on the verge. Like if this just said 4 cost, 6,000 power, no counter, KO up to one of your opponent's characters that's a cost 4 or less and a cost 3 or less, like that's more what I'm talking about. Even if you made this card a 5 cost, 6,000 power with no counter and made it what I just said. Like, I just still, I don't know. I'm just waiting for their, eventually power creep will, maybe, I could be wrong, but like theoretically, maybe there will be a point where power creep pushes some of these cards into the level I want them to be at. But if they don't, then I just feel like, I don't know. We have to see how the game is going to shape up over time. But I do think this card is a step in the right direction. I'm going to give this card a 7.5 out of 10 because I don't think this is actually meant to be played on turn 2 or on turn 3. I think this, like it can be if you can somehow fill up your trash, through counters and whatnot. And maybe even searchers like brand new. Maybe you run this in Rob Lucci and run the CP package in there with Spandam, with searchers like that. It does have the potential to be played right on turn 2 against the more aggressive decks. But I almost think it's meant to be played more as a mid-range style where you go, turn 4 Isho on curve where they have to trash 2 cards from their hand. And then by that time, you'll have at least, theoretically, you'll have at least 3 cards in your trash. And on turn 5, the next turn, you'll attach 1 Dawn to Isho, drop everything's cost by 3, and then you'll hit a 5 and a 4 or less with this card by returning 3 cards from your trash to the bottom of your deck. And then you'll still have 5 Dawn to play with because it was 4 Dawn for this card and 1 Dawn attached to Isho. Again, theoretically, that's what's kind of going through my mind. I like the card, love the art. The art is excellent. And that white top hat, got the pigeon in there, the suit, purple flower. This guy is just looking stellar, right? But I do wish the card was a little stronger, but I do get what they're going for. I'm very happy with it. I'm going with a 7.5 out of 10. You guys tell me what y'all think about this card in the comment section below if you get a chance. Okay, next up we have, I'm going to try to say this, guys, Haute Couture Patchwork. Haute Couture Patchwork, I think. Sorry if I butchered that, guys. I have no idea how to say that. Okay, this is a 1-cost black event for the Tentatas and Dressrosa. It has main, give up to one of your opponent's characters -3 cost during this turn. Then, up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 0 will not become active in the next refresh phase. That's pretty good. See, that's actually pretty interesting, pretty decent. Because, okay, number one, it combos well with the card like we just saw, 1 cost. So now you'll be able to hit like a a 5 and a 1 or a 2 and a 4, right? You can kind of do it however you need to with this effect. And that would just cost you 5 Dawn, so 1 Dawn here and 3 Dawn or 4 Dawn for the Rob Lucci. But then it also has the added utility of being able to just play it by itself. Like maybe they have a Zorro on the field, right? And boom, you just pay 1, and now that card's not going to go active on your next refresh phase. You know, that's decent utility. And let's see the trigger here. Trigger, draw 2 cards, trash 1 from your hand. That is good in any deck. That in any black deck, this event is good. It's not like unbelievable. It's not. It might not be game changing. It might be sometimes. You know, it could win you a game theoretically. But that trigger is excellent. The effect is absolutely fine. I'm going with a 7.5 out of 10 on this card as well because I think it's a very universal card. And it's a nice little Dressrosa event, right? It's going to allow us to -3 the cost of stuff and tap stuff down if we need to. Big fan of this. Big fan. Especially after seeing a red... I recently, did a game... I analyzed a game. Did like a game review of Trafalgar Law Red Purple Trafalgar Law from ST10 versus Rebecca, and the Trafalgar Law just bullied the Rebecca. So maybe a card like this will give the Rebecca more time to set up by tapping down their character or keeping their tapped characters that are 3 cost or less. Just keep them tapped down. So potentially very good. Big fan. Okay, I'm gonna give it 7.5 and 7.5 to 10, and let's move on. All right, next up we have Dragon Claw. Excuse me. This is a 2-cost black Dressrosa Revolutionary Army event that has the effect of up to one of your leader or character cards gains plus 4,000 power during this battle. So it's a 2-cost 4K. Then if you have 15 or more cards in your trash, KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 4 or less. This seems very good. This seems really good. I have the same question I had on another card. I can't remember what the other card was. I think it was a green card I had a question on where it had the same effect of like if you have 15 or more cards in your trash, KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 4 or less. So let's just say they swung at you with a 4-cost character that they buffed up to like 10,000 power, right? If you counter out with this card, it only gets you to 9,000 power. And let's say you have 15 or more cards in your trash. Can you then KO the card they're swinging with? Like, again, assuming it was a 4-cost that they buffed up. Like, would you be able to KO it and then, like, it would have 0 power afterwards because it's been KO'd and just cancel the attack out? I don't know. Seems really strong, though. Overall, I think this is a good counter. It does not have a trigger, so I can't go too high with the rating, but I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. I think this is an absolutely fine event for black. Very nice. Okay, next up we have I Bid 500 Million. This is a 3-cost black Celestial Dragon type of event. And, okay, this looks really complicated. We have, on your main, choose one. You can either KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 1 or less, return up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 1 or less to the owner's hand, or place up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 1 or less to the top or bottom of their life cards face up. Then, if you have a Celestial Dragon type character, draw 1 card. Wow. And then let's read the trigger real quick. KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 6 or less, or return it to the owner's hand. Wow. So with all of those Celestial Dragon cards on your main, you're going to be able to do any of this, right? Like you're going to be able to hit any card realistically if you have those guys down, especially the 5-cost guy that gives everything -6. This will hit everything that's a 7 or less. So you can either KO it, return it to their hand, or put on the top or bottom of their life. And then if you have the Celestial Dragon type character, you're drawing a card. Yeah, I'm going to go with this is like, for what it's doing in the deck it's supposed to be in, this is basically a 9 out of 10. If you're running a Celestial Dragons deck, this is an auto-include. This is probably the best event they'll print for a deck like that. Who knows? We'll have to see. But yeah, but in general, otherwise, you know, this is just a dead card. So like in Celestial Dragons, which is the only thing you could even really realistically run this in. Well, actually, I don't know. Hang on. KO up to one of your opponent's characters with the cost of 1 or less, or return up to one of your opponent's characters with the cost of 1 or less to the owner's hand, or place up to one of your opponent's characters with the cost of 1 or less at the top or bottom of their life cards face up. So you actually can run this just in general. You just won't get the last part there if you have a Celestial Dragon type character draw 1 card. Because remember, the Celestial Dragon cards, they only work off each other, right? Well, other than, excuse me, this maybe you run this one, I don't know. But like if you look at this guy right here, if the only characters on your field are Celestial Dragon type characters, and then the same thing with this guy, if the only characters on your field are Celestial Dragon type characters. So with those two dudes there, this card would be able to get you it would be able to net you a draw card. But if you don't have a Celestial Dragon, you could still technically pull one of these off if you have ways to reduce cost. So like in a deck with Isho, in a deck with, what's it called? Oh gosh, can't remember his name. Kuzan, the 10 cost. This card's actually still good. So I'm going to, the overall score I'm going to give this card is a 7.5 out of 10. I'll give it a 7 out of 10. I'm going to go down 1 with it. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. Okay, y'all tell me what y'all think of this card too if you get a chance. Okay, next up we have, is it Mary Joie? Mary Joie? Mary Joyce? Sorry guys, I think it's Mary Joie. I think I've heard that before. This is a 1-cost black Mary Joie type stage. Your turn. The cost of playing Celestial Dragon type character cards with a cost of 2 or more from your hand will be reduced by 1. So they're definitely setting up for some type of Celestial Dragon deck in the future. Excuse me, which I think is very cool, by the way. I do think, is that the last card? It should be. Yeah, then we get to the leaders. I think this is a cool idea, but they got to give us a reason to run it. First of all, there's only 3 that we were shown. We got Saint Rosward, we've got Saint Mosgard, and we have Saint Charlos. So, I mean, I like the direction the deck's going, but they need to give us more tools. You know, like this, I bid 500 million. That's very good, but what else can you run in it realistically? It needs more stuff to play with. Well, okay guys, that's it for the black cards. The cards I'm really looking forward to, I think this was just a nice card, the Shirahoshi, nice little 2K counter. Same thing with this one-legged toy soldier, nice 2K counter. Mansherry and Rebecca had very good utility. Rob Lucci was probably going to be pretty awesome. I can't wait to mess around with this card. And this was pretty good too. The Dragon Claw, just 2 cost, 4,000 power counter that can KO up to one of your opponent's characters that cost 4 or less. No trigger, but still very solid. But alright guys, y'all tell me what y'all think in the comment section below. Please don't forget to like and subscribe if you don't mind. It helps me out. And I hope you guys enjoyed. And until next time, peace.